and it's not advisable to do so. Okay, so I want to make sure those dates were on the table, and I'll be sending out an email to each of the board members, and we will be creating an email for the new board members as well, so you'll be receiving that too. Okay, are there any questions? And when I send out the email, you may want to give some times that work best for you, just so we have an idea. Because I know you have different schedules, right?
Sure.
And so
when you send the email, are you going to send it to everybody or just
I send it to the board.
to the whole board? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, now we'll go right into appointments of committees.
Committee appointments.
So the first one is going to be academic advisement for student next.
So I have a question on the committee appointments.
No more than two.
Right, no more than two. Two questions I have are, do these have to be appointed today, right now? And if so, can we go into a closed session to discuss them as a board as a whole?
We've never done that in closed sessions. It's always been in the public. Is there something specific that someone is asking about one of the committees, or is there, you as the president, or as the president, you can advise all the committees, so you don't necessarily have to pick one to oversee.
Okay.
So you will oversee all of them, where your schedule. If you want to sit in on meetings that we're meeting separately, you can come in. So, but as far as the rest of them, no more than two per committee.
Is this something we can open up for the panel
Yeah,
here?
yeah, that's where we talk about it.
Discussion as to who would like to be on what committee.
Yep.
I think a discussion is healthy in that regard.
Absolutely.
So we can do that here. Does it have to be? Does it have to be done here?
Yep, right here.
Okay. So number one is academic advisement. I would ask the board in total who is on that committee right now.
Typically, everyone's in that one.
Yeah.
Everybody's on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's committee of the
And
whole.
what we do is
And that's
based on, with respect to that committee, it's incredibly important that the Board of Education be aware of our academic performance, and you'll find that a lot of districts do not talk about academics. So what we've dedicated is time where the administration will present at a regularly scheduled meeting. We've been doing this for the last 4 years. Typically, we'll talk about our performance on the PARC, which is now the IR. We'll talk about the 5 essentials, and we'll talk about the MAP. That has been the 3 assessments that we've stuck with, as well as giving quite a bit of information. The last presentations we have given to the board are online, so if you look online, you could actually look through the information. And again, this is something that we do as a group because we want people to realize that the board meeting is a public business meeting in the public.
Sure.
Academics is a huge part of all your policies and your procedures, so we don't want to lose sight of the overarching goal, which is providing for the academics. Okay.
So I guess for me, my question is, I'd like to know who's currently on each of these committees. I'd like to open it up for that discussion, and then if those people would like to stay on those committees, we need to know that. I need to know that. Also, who's interested in being on those committees before just arbitrarily appointing people. You know. So
I'll go first. Currently, I sit on Buildings and Grounds, and I sit on Communications. So I am the co-chair of the Buildings and Ground and co-chair of Communications. So the lead on that would be Jennifer for Communications, and on the lead for Buildings and Grounds, it was Mike.
okay,
So I have no issues with staying on either one of those committees.
okay. Tim, which one are you on?
I am currently on finance, negotiations, and the Norwich Park District that is not listed.
So yeah, Norwich Park District.
And then Mike, you are currently on Buildings and Grounds.
Right, and the ISAB liaison, and delegate, and then the liaison is appointed by the president.
Okay. Is anybody else on IASB delegate and liaison? No. It's just Mike?
That's just been mine.
Yeah, that's been going to the,
Has there ever been 2 on those committees, or it's always been 1?
So we've been one as far as I've known.
Okay. All right, the way I like to work it is I like to go down the list. So board policy and development. Is anybody on that currently right now?
That'll be all.
That'd be a committee
Again,
of the whole.
that's another
Yeah.
committee of the whole?
Mhm. Which, if you remember, at the last meeting, I held up that binder. Anytime we review a policy,
Yeah.
that's, so we all get that. So we all have to review that policy and then we vote on it, we meet on it 3 times, and then we vote on it on the 3rd time. Okay?
So number 3 is building and grounds. I'd like to ask the board, who would like to be on building and grounds moving forward? If you'd like to be on that, I'd like to see your hand, please. Mike, you're currently on it. Do you want to stay on it or no?
No, it's fine.
I'm sorry?
We'll let somebody else
Okay.
go on to it.
And I'm okay with
So-
that as well.
All right. So, okay. So then we will appoint Lou and Frank. If Pasquale, you're okay with
Yeah,
that, Mike?
absolutely.
Okay. So we'll set the building and grounds for Frank Tribuzio and Lou Mazzano.
Okay.
Communications. Currently, Pasquale, you're on it, and I know Jennifer Paoletti is on it. Do you was on it? Do you want to stay on that?
I have no problem with staying on it.
Okay. Would anybody else like to be on that? Tim? Okay, so we'll put Tim on the communications with Pasquale. That'll be Pasquale and Tim Ludston. Currently on finance, Tim. Who's the second person? And it was Frank
Frank
Stoffel.
Stoffel.
Okay, so if you would like to be on the finance committee, let me know by raising your hand. You don't want to stay on it? No. Okay. We have one hand, Renzo Berardi. Would anybody else like to be on finance? Frank? Okay, so Renzo and Frank will take the finance committee. Six, negotiations. Tim, you said you're currently on that?
I was currently on that with Mr. Stoffel.
Okay.
Negotiations is one of those rare committees where we've had 3 board members. So we've
3.
had, the board president has been present, as well as 2 other board members.
When you say that, Dr. Malley, can the board president partake in any of these committees?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, so typically, if you have an individual who can't make the meeting, the board president can come to establish a quorum,
Okay.
and then they can more or less lead the meeting if they choose to do so. So let's just say, for example, I'm going to use what you have here. Let's just say you have buildings and grounds, and Lou cannot make the meeting. You can come in his absence. You can go through the agenda. You can establish your quorum,
Okay.
and then you can lead the meeting, and Frank can lead the meeting. And then Frank would adjourn the meeting when he felt that the meeting needed to be adjourned, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
Negotiations is slightly different. It's not subjected to some of the laws under the Open Meetings Act because you are negotiating with association. So we do not have to post for those meetings. We can have those. I'd also keep in mind that we have language in the contract that during negotiation years, the board is not to meet with the association on I want to call it a biannual basis. So, for example, if you were to settle the contract in June, next year the association would write a request to meet with the board. That's contractual. The written document is given to the superintendent's secretary, and they then set up a date, and they do that twice. However, in negotiation years, the board does not do that. And for reasons that I explained earlier. Okay?
Okay, so number 6, negotiations. If you'd like to be on that committee, please raise your hand. So we have 4 hands up: Lorenzo Berardi, Lou Mazzano, Tim Ludston, and Frank Tribuzio. The way I like to do it here is I like to put it to a vote. I like to get the whole board's perspective on who they like to see on that, and we'll vote for 2 people in that regard. I think
I will make just a comment.
Sure.
If you're on 2 committees already, you will find yourself pretty overwhelmed. And Frank, I believe with buildings and grounds and finance, you're going to have your hands full. We try to keep it to 2 people per committee. But you guys, we can do whatever we.
And also one more comment on negotiations, because that mainly deals with the association. Those that want to be on it, it's scheduling. Our meetings during this negotiation have been typically at about 4 o'clock after school on school days.
Okay.
And, we have to be very conscientious of Currently, there's Dr. Schilling working with us with those dates, also the association's attorney to dates available and times.
Okay.
So it's somewhat, based on the position now, it's somewhat of an availability type situation.
Time-wise, okay. So we'll bring that back, considering what Tim said, who would like, and what Pasquale said in regards to multiple committees, who would like to be on the negotiations team? Is your hand up still, Frank?
Yeah.
All right, so I want to put it to a vote. So we'll start with Renzo Berardi. If you'd like to vote for Renzo to be on the negotiation committee, by a show of hands. We have Lou, Tim, myself, Pasquale, Frank, and Mike. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Renzo, you voted for yourself?
Oh, I mean. Of course. We have to.
Okay. Lou Mazzano's hand was up, so if you'd like to vote for Lou, go ahead and do so now by raising your hand. We have Pasquale Biondo and Lou Mazzano. Well, so we have 2. So Renzo had 7, Louis had 2. Tim Ludston would also like to be on that. If you'd like to vote for Tim, by a show of hands, please. Okay, Tim Ludston, Pasquale Biondo, and Mike Belfiore. We have 3 for Tim. And the last hand we had up was Frank Tribuzio. If you'd like to vote for Frank Tribuzio, raise your hand. I'm sorry. Yeah, myself too. 4. So the negotiation team will be made up of Renzo Berardi with 7 and Frank Tribuzio with 4. Moving forward, number 7 is
And you're on that one too.
Right. IASB delegate, right now currently it's Mike. I've been informed that there hasn't been a second person on that, so Mike, would you like to stay on that?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Does anybody else like to be a part of that, or by a show of hands?
Just so you know what that consists of, I'm sorry, Sam.
It's okay.
They have meetings through the IASB, and they have teleconferences as well, right, Mike? That you would partake in, so you're brought up to speed on what's being addressed with our current IASB delegates and West 40, because we are a part of West 40, so.
Okay. If you'd like Mike, by a show of hands, who would like Mike to remain on that board? It's unanimous, so that's 7. Mike, you'll stay on the IASB as a liaison?
Thank you.
I'm sorry, as a delegate. We'll move to the liaison. Mike, can you tell me what the difference between the delegate and the liaison is? Or is it one of the same almost? Or?
It's almost one and the same. Delegate has the right to go into the, if I'm not mistaken, right, the delegate? AAA conference, and what they do is when they go down in there, they vote. ISB has all the votes you get from the different boards, and they have a set form of what they want you, what is to be voted on.
Okay.
And then you bring it to your board, and then you go and represent what your board would like to vote on. Like one of them was, just off the top of the head that I know, was for the handguns in the school.
Okay.
That was one that was voted down, but that was what was there last time. And then there's other ones where there's other different fundings and stuff that they try to get from the state. So it's
Okay, so number
that's
8.
usually, and that's done at the AAA conference down in actually on the Festival of Lights downtown.
Okay. So would you like to remain on IASB as a liaison?
Yes, please.
Okay, does anybody else have interest in that committee? Okay, I just want to keep it the same way. By a show of hands, are we okay with Mike being on the, as a whole? Yes, okay, so Mike, you'll stay on as the liaison.
Thank you.
Number 9 is the ad hoc superintendent search.
The Park District.
Oh, okay, we'll do park after that. So number 9 is ad hoc superintendent search. Currently on that, I know it's Tim Ludston and Pasquale Biondo. Would you guys like to remain on that?
I would suggest, considering the situation and time crunch, that with the seating of all the new board members, that this should be a committee of the whole.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with that.